No quarter. Give no quarter. Give no quarter. Give no quarter.
Yeah, folks, it's live. It's the first time ever. This is not the real show. For those of you that are coming in, of course, slowly as we're talking here, as I see at the bottom of the screen, uh, you are not experiencing the actual Give No Quarter show. What you are, however, experiencing is, of course, our sneak preview. And today, for the first time ever, you will actually get a sneak peek at what this show is going to be about. Now, when we first started talking about the possibility of there being additional podcasts, we talked about a lot of options, talked about a lot of different show types. One of the things that we talked about with this show was that we wanted to make sure the right personalities were being brought together. We wanted to make sure that everyone involved was bringing something interesting to the table, and we wanted to make sure that it was going to be a kind of show that we can be proud of. I am very proud to bring, of course, as always, our producer, Princess Debbie, but I want to say that I am very proud to be having our two co-hosts with me here. First up, from that city of Denver, Colorado, that makes me angry every time I think about football right now. Uh, no, but I love this woman to death. She has been a at this point actually a very long time friend when we think about it. But she is of course uh, here to bring a very light, much more civil and reasonable approach to the more liberal arguments. That's of course our host Bailey. Go ahead and say hi to the people. First time Judah, she forgot she was muted.
Ha! Hi, people. Hey, everybody.
And of course, I like to make sure that there's balance. Obviously, I attack both sides fairly regularly. You hear my voice yelling about all manner of issue on the Wrath of Ruthless and basically everywhere else. But I wanted to balance things, and I thought there was really no one better to bring in to balance the way we present than to bring a contributor that you have heard from many times. Correct me if I'm wrong. This will be the third time you've done something with Worse Than True Justice specifically, but also with me, and that's of course the wonderful Kay Walker. Welcome back.
Hello, thank you for having me. Yes, this is the third time I've been on. Somehow you keep having me back, so I can't say no when you ask me.
So we of course wanted to balance out the apparently very abrasive and all manner of other evils that I have been called in the last 3.5 years. Um, what is my world sometimes? We'll get to the names that I've been called recently here in a little bit. But of course, we are here to cover the wonderful results coming out of Super Tuesday. Whether you have a candidate that you want to back right now, whether you are still an undecided voter, whether or not this is your first time voting or you have voted in every election since the 1920s, there is an exciting time to be voting right now because you really do have a choice in the kind of person that you want to have representing your interests in the executive branch. There is, and ladies, I really want you guys to correct me if I'm wrong here. I really feel like the field on both sides has been so varied that you really could pick the candidate that most identifies with your specific brand of politics, no matter what those politics were. I think traditionally, I would say, at least personally, it seems that it usually came from non-viable alternative party candidates where you got that variety. Whereas I feel like even the major parties this time have had a very clear difference between their candidates. Obviously, more Republican candidates to choose from the Democrats, but but like how do you feel? We'll start with Kay this time.
Oh, well, how do I feel? Let's see. Well, yeah, we did have a varied field, and there was something for everyone. It's like everyone and his cousin is running for president.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that did actually make me happy to begin with because we had those people who complained about wanting someone with more executive experience. We had a plethora of governors starting out. Uh, like the last one standing is K-Fish, but
Which I called, by the way. I
you
just
did,
want to point that out.
you did. I think I was wrong on that one.
August.
Yeah, but and then we have some rising stars in the party, like Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz. So, there is someone for everyone, but of course, Donald Trump has made this into like a really strange reality TV show.
Yeah, and
Yeah, so
we're not going to let Trump take over this coverage, so we are going to come back to the Trump subject.
oh, is this a banned word?
You are not allowed to type Trump into the chat. Yeah, you are not allowed to reference Trump in any questions that you guys ask us. I do want to really quickly, of course, pay some bills, as they say. I want to thank our sponsor for all of our podcasts. That's SJC Financial Solutions. They are an amazing set of three ladies that cover both tax and just general accounting issues all over the world. If you're not for profit, if your small business needs their help, you can, of course, easily get a hold of them in a multitude of ways. Of course, there's the obvious, their website, which is www.yourtaxremedy.com. Of course, though, sometimes you just need to get on the phone and call somebody. And the way to get a hold of SJC Financial Solutions for that purpose is just to call 1-800-542-1393. Between them, they each have over 25 years of tax-specific but also general accounting backgrounds. They are amazing when it comes to this stuff. And right now, it is tax season. They are, of course, handling tax matters for both individuals and businesses. So remember that you can find a way to know what it feels like to be stress-free, tax stress-free. Get a hold of SJC Financial Solutions. In Missouri, and specifically in Kansas City, you can get a hold of Melina Johnson at 1-816-213-3910. In the Los Angeles area, you can get a hold of Nicole Christopher at 1-323-815-1382. Or, of course, in the Provo, Salt Lake City, Utah area, you can get a hold of Norma Swink at 1-801-529-7771. Now, remember, if you let them know that you came because of Words Don't Do It Justice, The Wrath of Ruthless, Give No Quarter now, and of course, if you just say, hey, the Ruthless Wonder sent me, if you say Princess Devi sent me, if you say Ronan sent me, if you say Roddy P sent me, they will give you 10% off on your appointment. That is no matter what you are coming to them for, 10% off just by mentioning us. Of course, we hope you will go ahead and check them out. They are enrolled agents, the IRS, and are authorized e-file providers. So anything you need, tax or financial services and accounting, you can contact SJC Financial Solutions. Once again, at yourtaxremedy.com or at 1-800-542-1393. And remember, you mention us, you get 10% off. So go feel what it feels like to be tax stress free. SJC Financial Solutions. Now we've done all the bill paying now. I want to thank them because they really believed in the vision we have at 314 Publishing, and of course at Words Don't Do It Justice. It's amazing to see that all this time we've put in has turned into something grand. And of course, ladies, as I've already told you all, but for the audience, some of you guys might be first time. Uh, yeah, we're about to hit 3 years. The anniversary is coming up this week, and I have been running all over creation uh, to get things together related to what's going on. So, everybody, be we are happy to have you, come here for this very very new show. But remember, the anniversary is coming up. There's even more content coming, and we are very hyped to give it to you. So uh, look out for that coming up this week. Of course, we'll have a piece from Rain on Wednesday. I did not appear this week on purpose because I'm gearing up for that anniversary. So we look forward to, of course, you all coming and checking out our new material. Now, I want to get back to this wonderful show of ours. So one of the things that I kind of want each of you to kind of briefly talk about. Uh, at at what point? At one point, we were really looking at Super Tuesday to see who was going to kind of shake out. Whether we thought initially, all right, this might be where Trump hops out because he might lose. This could be the difference between Clinton and Sanders. But a very interesting thing was told to me just prior to the show, and I really want Bailey to kind of get into that real quick because I think this is probably some very interesting news, definitely to voters in your area, but to the national audience, I think that's also some very interesting news. So go ahead and break that for us and kind of explain what's going on.
Yeah, so I'm here in Colorado, and we have caucuses. So it's kind of a recent development. It's since 2002, I believe. But I just recently learned actually that the Republican caucuses are not going to be talking about presidential candidates this evening, which is pretty crazy. So basically, what happened over the summer was that the national GOP changed the rules for caucusing. So basically, state Republicans objected to the new rule that the GOP requires delegates to be bound to vote for their candidates regardless of what happens in a campaign. So basically, delegates can vote for whomever they want now, which means that it's not being talked about at the caucus level. So I don't think the average Republican voter this evening who's going to caucus is going to understand what's going on. They're going to go just like all the Democratic caucusers that are going out tonight. They're going to go to their precincts. They're going to want to talk about presidential candidates, and they're going to be pretty upset to find out that they are not able to do that. So basically, they're still having a caucus, but they're only talking about state and local issues. So, as a Democrat, I'm kind of a little bit giddy about it, but at the same time, it's kind of a miscarriage of your electoral rights and duties as somebody in the GOP. You're not somebody who's unaffiliated or a Democrat or whatever. Like you registered to vote as a Republican, you should be able to cast your vote. So it just is kind of a slap in the face, I think, to people who are really passionate about voting and making sure that their voice is heard. And it's really like that reality that your voice doesn't matter tonight. And I think that's kind of sad.
Yeah, that's a very interesting decision. Now, do we know exactly when that occurred? Like when they made that decision?
I believe that it was in August, judging from the Denver Post articles that I've been looking at. But they voted unanimously, in fact, to not want to be able to um, be bonded to those delegates. And I think it stemmed from 2012, I want to say, when Ron Paul took most of the delegates, but Santorum actually won the state. and they were pretty upset about it. And so this year they voted unanimously, like I said, to not even discuss. They weren't going to follow the rules of the the national GOP. So, yeah,
Okay.
pretty interesting development.
Now, obviously, that is something that was very interesting that kind of popped up for you, but you are. I think I'm fair in saying you're not a conservative,
No, I am not.
but that's interesting to kind of see that outside perspective. I want to give Kay a chance to give us some insider perspective,
Yeah.
from somebody who is the more conservative member of the panel here. So go for it. You're muted, by the way.
Yeah. Okay. Hi.
There we
Can you hear
go.
me?
Yeah, we go.
I actually did not hear about that. But like we have been discussing in terms of delegates in relation to the Democratic Party, like in the media. I mean, I can see both sides really, because I mean the goal for a party in and of itself is to present the more electable candidate, and sometimes, as bad it sounds, but sometimes the party uh, insiders feel that the voters might make the wrong choice, as we're kind of seeing, uh, in I guess both parties right now. I guess the party insiders on the Democratic side are afraid that Bernie Sanders is going to take the nomination, and on the Republican side, a lot of people are afraid that Trump might run away with this. So,
And I
but
think, not to really cut you off there, but I think he is steamrolling his way to doing that right now.
yeah,
Yeah.
perhaps. But so it's really about trying to get this. I think both parties are trying to get this balance. Can have people feel like they're electing the the nominee, or they have a voice in who the nominee is going to be, but at the same time they want someone who has more broad appeal, because you can only go so far with just the base.
Right.
Those are the people who really care about these elections and who will come out to these caucuses and vote passionately for their person. But they need to pander to the middle, and they need to try and win over some people on the other side, usually. So, I mean, that's the logic behind that, I suppose, although it doesn't seem very democratic, of
Right. I
course.
mean, little d Democrat, you would kind of want your voice to be heard, I assume, right? I mean,
Of course.
so what I mean, do you think that having it that way is fair though? I mean, yeah, you're worried that, the T word is going to run away with it. But isn't that the entire point of an election? Like, isn't that really making sure that the people's vote counts? Like, that's who the Republican front runner is. Shouldn't they have the same way to vote or the same way to be elected as anybody else?
Right.
Well, the thing is, the point of an election is to, well, win.
Well,
And it doesn't matter. Like, you could have a candidate that the base really likes, but if they can't win, then it doesn't matter ultimately. So, I think that's where the party logic is going on both sides. So,
yeah.
Well, and that's the interesting because I do believe that is basically the Ron Paul rule. That
Mhm.
is where that really comes from, because he refused to release his delegates in 2012. I think he did in 08 as well.
Yeah.
And it was basically they didn't want to have that problem happen again, but to do it so late, because I know, and here's where we dive into the why I'm truly an independent, and I have way too many influences from both sides of the aisle. Um, One of the Republicans that I know very well here in Missouri was talking about the sort of issues of having these delegates that are not like that are bound to a candidate that's no longer viable, but person could hold the party hostage at some point to keep a plurality from really reaching what it needs. I I kind of feel like it's a good thing, but also not. I think it's just too late in this case. I think even August was probably too late to be doing that. It was too close, but I I kind of understand it. Um, I'm not saying I fully agree with it, but I kind of understand it. So I'm kind of torn, I guess, is the best way to put it, on whether or not I'm fully okay with it. So I understand it enough to get its necessity, but I can see the abuse, and it's very clearly, sort of happening right because you do lose that. Like my vote was supposed to count, and now it
Yeah.
doesn't count.
Yeah. And there are already so many people that feel like their vote doesn't count anyway.
Exactly.
So to change the game like this, I mean, like I said, I am not a conservative, I am not a Republican, but I do believe that Republicans have the same right to vote as, Democrats, independents, whoever do. So by taking away their feeling of importance and you know, their civic duty, I think is kind of bunk.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I agree. Can you hear me? Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. But yeah, I do agree that it does suck to feel that your vote doesn't count. But like for me, like I was saying, I understand how this can go because ultimately it can cause a lot of chaos. I mean, look at I mean, on the Democratic side, for example, we had this whole issue with the delegates, and of course, there are rule changes, I guess, stemming back from like the sort of Carter, um, like Kennedy election situation, who was going to get the nomination, and then of course Jimmy Carter had so many delegates, and then Kennedy was trying to get those delegates to vote for him instead, even though they were bound
Oh,
to Jimmy
really quick,
Carter.
need a
yeah.
quick update in here, real quick. ABC has called Alabama, Massachusetts, and Tennessee for Donald Trump, uh,
Ugh.
trying to find out whether or not that's going to make the 20% thresholds for the delegates. If you look at 538 Super Guide to Super Tuesday, we're not going to link that up because obviously we don't own that content, but go ahead and check it out on your own time. That there are some thresholds that have to be reached for delegates to be released to a specific candidate. So it's going to be interesting, especially in those states. You are at a point where you have still enough candidates in the race that Trump could not reach that magical 20% number and reach the threshold, which means basically no one gets those delegates. Um, it looks like Trump is up 7% in Virginia as well. Rubio's probably going to either be, at this point, I think Rubio's probably going to be out because he doesn't have what Cruz has, which is at least a high finish percentage. And I think he might be out of the situation. Let me go back over to real quick politics. Virginia's at 30%, 37% reporting, with yes, a just about 7 point difference between Trump and Rubio. Cruz is losing bad in that state, but he's losing in Georgia. Georgia is 46.8% Trump right now. I don't know if you guys are seeing this at the same time I am. Vermont went Trump, of course. Massachusetts, they're at 0%, but they are basically saying that Trump is the likely to win in that state. Uh, Alabama, similar situation for Clinton. Um, Tennessee, Clinton is winning 56-32. That is probably going to be over there. We have a too close to call in Massachusetts. Vermont, of course, went to Sanders, 88-11. That is crazy, by the way. Um, Virginia is going to Clinton, not nearly by the margin she really needed to get out of there. 44% reporting. They have her up 63% to 36%. If that gap closes, and that's one of the states where the gap could close, if that gap closes, we could be into a very interesting situation because we know Oklahoma at the moment, Arkansas, Texas, Minnesota, and of course Colorado, woo, are far more leaning Sanders as far as polls are concerned. Georgia's only at 3% reporting. We'll see how that turns. That could be another big state on the Sanders map. One of the things that and of course, ladies, we'll bring you back in on this. One of the things that I was batting around with some other folks that I tend to talk to politics-wise, was that there is a set of math here, a calculus that says as long as Sanders is at basically 45% to 65%, meaning he doesn't have to win every single state. He just has to do just under half to just over half. He is still in this race, and we are going to the states that are really his stronghold. One of the things that we talk about with Super Tuesday, and obviously, Kay and Bailey, I want you guys to kind of get in on this. Super Tuesday is primarily, with the couple of exceptions of Massachusetts and Vermont, Super Tuesday is primarily a Southern swing of the nominee race and these primaries. That benefits Republicans, but that does not necessarily benefit someone like Hillary Clinton, who then has to go into states that she is not strong in. And obviously, Bailey, we'll give you a shot at that in a second, but I wanted Kay to come in on that as well, because do you think that Super Tuesday is going to be the end of Ted Cruz now? Because Cruz is the one that's polling right behind Trump. Cruz is the one that is much more believably antagonistic to Trump. I saw the video. I'm sure many people have seen it by now. I saw the video of Rubio recently where he was basically just making insult jokes at Donald Trump about the size of his hands and him sweating on stage. TYT kind of overboard. They kind of say they've been calling Marco Rubio Marco Robot, but because he has had some serious issues with repeating himself. But I think that might have been the thing that sunk him in a similar way to Christie attacking Rubio was the thing that finally ended him. But go ahead, Kay. I want to get your thoughts on that.
Well, I guess in terms of Cruz, I could see him drop. If he loses Texas, he's going to have to drop out. That's I think as long as he keeps it, he might still be in for a while. Like that's the way I could see him dropping out at this point after Super Tuesday. If he loses his home state to Donald Trump or the T word, whatever we're using now, then he will be out of there.
Interesting. Okay. All right.
That's my prediction, at least. If he wins it, he'll stay in for a bit longer.
Yeah, CBS has Tennessee at going 50% Trump. They have it too close to call in Texas. The interesting thing is Bush is still on the ballot in most of these places, and they think that he's going to make a big push in Texas. That could be a very interesting. What do you think about that? The possibility that Texas could just pick a Bush because they like Bush, which sounds a lot worse when I said that out loud. That they could actually just pick, Jeb Bush, really to kind of troll Donald Trump at this point, and really kind of upset everyone that's there. Like, I guess let's take it in stages. Do you think Rubio survives Super Tuesday? Then, do you think one of these states picks a no longer viable candidate just to kind of give the big middle finger to the toupee himself?
I think personally, I think Rubio will stay in for a while longer. I think he does. Same. Personally, I think he has a chance, or at least maybe that's my hope. I don't know. I hope he has a chance to truly go toe-to-toe with the T word himself in the next few debates. He did have some momentum coming out of the last debate, so I don't think if he doesn't do as well on Super Tuesday, I mean, maybe it will hurt him a little bit, but I don't see him dropping out just yet. Because I think right now he's kind of seen as a person who can beat the presumptive Democratic nominee Hillary, so I don't think people want to let him go yet.
Interesting. Okay. Now, I do have up, and Bailey will get you back in here now.
Sure.
We've got back up the upcoming primaries for March, prior to my birthday, the important day of the month of March. Uh, we have, of course, we got Super Tuesday today, but there are quite a few primaries before we even get to March 15th, which is really kind of that end point for a lot of these candidates. Obviously, I think Carson will probably be done by the time this is over tonight.
Yeah.
He has more books to sell. He's not leaving.
Well, but I mean, like the support he really needs is probably going to end here in the next couple of days. Maybe he finishes out the week just because it's Super Tuesday is a Tuesday. He'd at least try to work till Friday. But that's the thing though. Like especially on the Democrat side, you have Kansas that's got their caucus. You've got Louisiana's got a primary. Nebraska, Maine, Hawaii, not Hawaii, Michigan, Mississippi, and then I forget what comes right after it. Go here. We'll go to the big one. We'll go to the big map here. Yeah, and then on the 15th, you've got Florida, Illinois, Missouri, and North Carolina. That's why I picked my birthday as the final day before folks get out of there. But we're really at that point where at some level you have to say today isn't really the end for anybody as long as they make a decent showing. But how do you feel about that? I mean, this is what are we're calling it? Interesting. See, now, folks, if you're listening to us over on SoundCloud, one, thank you, because every time you listen to us on SoundCloud, you help us in our partnership with SoundCloud to support the show by making money in doing so. But if you're looking over on YouTube right now during the live broadcast, you're noticing that we're looking at the Democratic delegate counts of the pledged delegates, and that's the ones that have to vote based on what the voters select. The pledged delegate difference, they're projecting right now, this is the Washington Post only, but the pledged delegate difference right now is 199 to 122. You'll recognize that as really only 2 states worth the difference. And when I say it's 2 states worth the difference, I mean 2 states out of the remaining mix. Because as you know, Super Tuesday is a lot of the smaller states. You're going into these states that have very large delegate counts, and it could swing things very fast and very quickly one way or the other. But that's really what I want to talk about. What do you knowing that you are in a position to really kind of swing things in a caucus state tonight, how do you feel about the math, the calculus, the difference right now between the 2 options on the Democratic Party?
Well, in Colorado, we've got 66 delegates and 12 superdelegates, and those 12 superdelegates have already basically pledged their support behind Hillary. So it's really important, for Bernie to get as many delegates, obviously, as he can, not only just to have those delegates, but also to combat whatever superdelegates have already pledged to Hillary. It's kind of a little disheartening going into the caucus already knowing that the 12 superdelegates have already pledged, but that's the important thing. I think that tonight in Colorado is really kind of almost a make or break for Bernie. Obviously, he's not going anywhere. He's said that he's going to stay in for the long haul, and I hope that he still remains viable for it. But tonight is really about, especially in Colorado, is just about making sure that the delegates who come out for Bernie are coming strong. The people that come out tonight to caucus are serious and are really trying to push for him. It's something that I think that he obviously knows he needs to win. He's outspending Hillary right now in campaign ads 2-1. Most of Denver is for Bernie. Like I live on Capitol Hill basically, and you can't go anywhere without seeing a Bernie bumper sticker or a Bernie sign in a window. I have not seen very many Hillary supporters in downtown Denver, at least. So I think he has a really great showing here. It's just a matter of people coming out tonight and actually doing their civic duty.
Now you're also in a very interesting position being in Colorado. A lot of what people will say is Bernie's problem has been some of these traditional Clinton strongholds.
Hmm.
Um, if he comes out, I mean, obviously we're not going to go crazy and say let's give him all 66 of the normal delegates. If he comes out and say gets 35
Hmm.
out of there, do you still consider him viable in that situation?
Yeah,
Forgetting all the rest of
absolutely.
the stuff. If he comes out just 35.
Yeah, I do. I think I do because, I mean, obviously Colorado is a big stronghold, and a big thing for him. But I mean, he's got other states too. He won Vermont by quite a bit. But I think, absolutely, if he gets half of those delegates, not counting the super delegates, that he's still viable.
All right. So one of the things I want to pull this up. It's that time again. We want to see how things are looking. Uh, Obviously, Tennessee's been called for Clinton. Apparently, Oklahoma is incredibly close. Too close to call for even Nate Silver at this point. Virginia just looks horrifying. Like that 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 purple percentage is it, for everybody that can see that on the live stream. We're looking at, and for the SoundCloud listeners, we're looking at the Virginia Republican primary results as they come in. This is at 8:10 p.m. So this is about 10 minutes ago. But 538 is showing their percentages. Trump, up almost 7%. There's a 30,000 vote difference between him and Rubio. Cruz is a distant third to Rubio's second. You're looking at, get this right, about just over 70,000 different between Rubio and Cruz. Kasich a deep fourth at just about half of Cruz, and Carson actually very close to Kasich's numbers, which I think could be the end of both of those candidates. You really got to get in David Wasserman. Sorry. The 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 situation I think at the moment does seem to really go into that narrative, and Georgia's adjusting. Georgia is now 77-22 Clinton to Sanders. Virginia is now down to 63-35 Clinton to Sanders. So that's definitely picked up, but that is 62% reporting. Georgia's only at 5, so that could be a lot more movement. Alabama's been called 74-16 Clinton. Tennessee is being called despite being at not quite 1% yet at 69-28. Texas, not anywhere near 1% yet. Currently sitting Clinton 68, Sanders 30. Texas on the other end, Cruz winning 41-30, not at 1% yet, reporting, but 41-30 over Trump in Texas. Arkansas, not enough votes recorded to report. Trump is leading in Oklahoma, 33-28 over Cruz. We've got some more results in out of Oklahoma. Oklahoma is too close to call. If you're looking at this on the live stream, you can see it, but the numbers for Clinton and Sanders are incredibly close. And apparently, we're not going to let him take over, but the big comb over has apparently got a big major announcement. Now I'm going to flip over to our watch page coverage to really find out what's going on. I want to thank everybody who's of course coming in and talking on the YouTube link. Shout out to everybody over there. Revanchist Gaming, member of Slave State Society, is in there, of course, trolling a few of the chatters. Our YouTube our YouTube sensations don't end with him. We of course have Vandavius Gaskin, our esport athlete is in over there. But apparently there is a press conference for Trump coming up. I'm going to avoid that as much as possible. Um, this is this is big possible news. Uh, what do you guys think it might be? Do you think it might be an endorsement? Do you think we might be dealing with a final admission that he is trolling all of us? What do you guys think?
God, that would be great if it were a giant troll. I think it's probably another endorsement.
Who do you think it is?
I mean, I mean, maybe he's just gonna tell us all that he finally figured out who David Duke was. Like, you know.
Oh, that would be great.
But I can't possibly begin to tell you who I think that nod is, but who knows?
Huh. Let's see if it's maybe it's a governor. I don't know. That's possible.
That could be very interesting. I think that could be something that could cause a lot of static.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, yeah, go ahead. I was just gonna say we're entering the school, so we might have to dip out in a couple of minutes because we're getting in caucus line.
Oh, it's caucus line time, yeah.
But I'm still here.
Okay.
I'll let you know.
Well, that really brings us to an interesting thing. The problematic nature of candidates like Trump is he's not going away.
Yeah.
And if this is we're gonna see this press conference. I want to see what it's actually about. Like, I'm concerned to a certain degree.
Yeah. With this whole Trump thing, I think the GOP waited too long to really make this full-on attack on Trump. I think at first nobody was really taking it seriously. I guess they're probably calling it the Trump revolt now. But like, there's this, of course, disconnect. Same with the Democrats too. But where you have a candidate that the establishment is afraid is going to win. On the Republican side, that's Trump. On the Democrat side, that's Sanders. But then you have a lot of the actual voters now who may not be uncomfortable with either of those two being the nominee. Of course, like Cruz and Rubio would say that it's not too late to defeat Trump, but like right now, you're saying like he's steamrolling this whole thing. So, I mean, we'll see. Of course, we have like the political elites and the super PACs now trying to come out full force against Trump. But I'm kind of wondering if they waited too long to do that.
Yeah.
That's what concerns me.
Real quick, we're going to pay some more bills here really quickly. Of course, we want you guys to check out this show in its entirety when it makes its full debut later on this month after the big anniversary. But also, we want to, of course, tell you guys to check out our YouTube page for Words Don't Do It Justice, and that's just youtube.com. You can type in Words Don't Do It Justice. You can type in WDDIJ. You'll find our channel. It's got some of the classic episodes from 2014 of The Wrath of Ruthless, and of course the WDDIJ cast as our very first Imperial Dreams interview series, interview with cosplayer Breathe V, and soon it'll have these episodes as well as the YouTube version of our SoundCloud episodes of The Wrath of Ruthless. Of course, our shows come to you sponsored by SJC Financial Solutions. Let them help make you tax stress-free this tax season. Call them at 1-800-542-1393 or visit them at yourtaxremedy.com. If you mention this ad, if you mention this podcast, if you mention anybody from Words Don't Do It Justice, they will give you 10% off. And, of course, you can contact Melina Johnson in the Kansas City area, Nicole Christopher in the Los Angeles area, or No More Swink in the Provo / Salt Lake City, Utah area. That's SJC Financial Solutions, a authorized e-file provider and enrolled agents with the IRS. SJC Financial Solutions, yourtaxremedy.com, 1-800-542-1393. Now, folks, you probably heard that wonderful theme music at the beginning. We're going to give you another quick sample of that theme song. That's brought to you by Monkamon Productions, LLC, out of Joplin, Missouri. That's Cy Williams doing the lyrics, produced in part by him as well as Bruce Land. And, of course, they are added to the wonderful suite of music producers that have provided music to Words Don't Do It Justice and 314 Publishing. That includes Keith LaBelle and, of course, Smooth Fusion. You'll be hearing some more from Smooth here real soon with the return of the Words Don't Do It Justice podcast and some other things coming up with all of us and our music producers as well. So let's hear that real quick, and then we'll get right back into the show.
Give no quarter. Give no quarter. Give no quarter. Give no quarter.
So yeah, that is the theme music for Give No Quarter. You will be hearing that music far, far much more than you have been here so far this evening. But we wanted, like I said, we want to give you guys a great sneak preview, a good snippet, and get us ready for everything coming up. Bailey, do we still have you out there in Colorado? Still in line for the caucus?
Yeah. I'm still in line. I'm getting in the doors right now. I did want to throw in a vote for who I think the announcement is. I think Cthulhu is going to endorse Trump.
I do. If you recall, myself and Bruce Wayne teamed up to defeat Cthulhu. We beat that Eldritch Horror back into the deep. He will not rise again. He will not rise again. I defeated him. He knows what happened. He might want to deny it, but he knows what the deal is.
All right.
All right, so we're gonna let her go ahead and go into the caucus because voting is important. Thanks for being on. We will of course let folks hear you again when the show goes live. So glad to have you.
Fantastic. Thanks for having me. I'll talk to you guys soon.
All righty.
See you later, Billy.
Bye.
Bye.
Awesome. Now that was, of course, it was great to get her for the show. It's an interesting situation. And Kay, I know you're still there, and I do believe Devin is somewhere lurking in the deep. Let's see.
Hi.
There she is. All right. So, Devi, we love you. So, just want to check to make sure you were still there with us.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at these result things as best I can, and this is very, very interesting.
How's the chat looking?
So far everything looks great. No one's echoing. I'm liking what I'm seeing and hearing. I'm just at this moment. I think Cthulhu is. He's gonna do something.
I will defeat him again if necessary.
I just like that idea better than every other idea that's been presented to us.
Speed dial. He knows what happened when me and Bruce got.
Tell you about funny stuff.
Okay, I'm just saying.
Right, we will, of course, be back to you here in a little bit. But Kay, since we've got some time here, I want to talk to you about the guy I got right.
All right.
Obviously, for the folks that have been behind the Wrath of Ruthless, they know that the recent suicide in Ohio at the steps of the State House is one that I personally lay at Governor Kasich's feet because I think it should be. I lay it at the feet of all the politicians in this race right now because they've made the climate that has caused this. Um, but I want to talk about Kasich from a governance standpoint. Obviously, you're far more familiar with these conservative candidates than even I am. I really want to know what you feel, uh, not necessarily just about the viability of the remaining candidates, but specifically about Kasich. Do you think that, and this it may be a case of too little, too late? Do you think that looking back, the party will say we should have been behind him a lot more because he could have been made even more viable? Do you feel as if maybe if people had backed Kasich early on, you wouldn't have to deal with the big come over?
Perhaps that is a very big possibility. It could be said for almost any candidate, though. 'Cause so far, a lot of the talk has been around who we don't want to win, right? Versus choosing someone to back. It's like, hey, we'll see what happens or which one somehow becomes more viable versus we should support this guy because he'll do best against Trump. It would have made a bigger difference, I think, and we wouldn't be talking about a Trump sweep Super Tuesday if early on in the campaign season maybe more more Republicans had coalesced around maybe one viable candidate like Kasich and made him more viable through their support. Um, and I guess the same could be said for Bush. If people had supported him more, then maybe we'd be seeing Bush in there.
But
uh,
here's where I push back on that, and that's what the show's about. I'm not gonna just let you throw on one. In the case specifically of Jeb Bush, do you honestly think that anyone was going to take him seriously? And I'll put it to you with some facts and clear representations. He didn't announce until after Rubio, which put him behind Rubio in that fashion. He hasn't been in public office basically longer than all of these candidates, other than Comover, and that's because Comover's not a politician. Neither is Carson, for that matter. Like, do you really think that, given what was at present for Jeb Bush, he was ever going to be a viable candidate for the party, but also in a general election? Like, it seems to me, this is just me, it seems to me that Jeb Bush is what Hillary Clinton would have wished for in a Republican candidate.
well, the thing is, I think with Jeb, and you did correct, he announced later, but I think he may have been counting a little more on his name recognition, of course, because he is part of a political dynasty, right? Two presidents, and governors and so he thinks people know him, and going into the election, I think there's been talk of what his record is. People have been speculating for a while that he would run. So I don't think at first he was really worried about that. But of course, with the Bushes, people might not, like years out, they might not be as keen on them anymore, right? So at one point they were really popular. It's not that they're unpopular now, it's just that they don't have that popularity among Republicans as they once did.
I saw something interesting, and this was not from a political commentator, so that's why I bit into it. It was, somebody said that Jeb Bush had the best chance of outright winning the presidency, but he gave it up to his brother for 2000, and he gave it up to McCain and Mitt Romney in '08 and 2012. And I think that there's some genius to that. And if you disagree, obviously, let me know what you think. But I feel like there is something to be said for the fact that even with how many people felt uh, about George W, if he runs in '08, I think he has a better shot of winning. I'm not saying he had a chance to beat Barack Obama then, but we didn't know Obama was going to be what Obama becomes in '08 until it happened.
Right.
Even I didn't, and I was one of the people who was like, I kind of want this black guy to win. Um, at the very beginning, before Obama Girl and all that craziness. Um, Shout out to my own digression where I talked about the effects of side things like that. But um, I think that's I think if he runs right after, there's a big chance. But even if he doesn't, if he runs in 2012, I think he has a better shot than he does now, because Rubio is the why do we care about Jeb Bush? Like, Jeb Bush was governor 20 years ago, in every kid's mind at least.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. I mean, if he had run earlier, people like Rubio and Cruz would probably not be on the stage. So
I think Cruz would have been on the stage, but I really feel like Jeb Bush did his big service that way, because I think Rubio would have been his running mate.
Probably, but they wouldn't have had as much prominence, I think, as they do now. That's what I'm saying. So with all the political clout and things that they've built up over these past 3 years, '08 to now, the past 8 years, they become more formidable opponents because they're actually in the game now, and they've been in public for the span of Obama's presidency, while Bush hasn't really been out there as much.
He wasn't saying anything. Now, back to the guy that I've been right about for months now.
Oh, good. Okay. You're not gonna let me live that down, right?
No, this is less picking on you, and this is more picking on our audience, who, if I don't know whether you got to see some of the comments that were left after I made that statement.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, many people were like, "Who's John Kasich?" And I'm like, trust me, this is the guy you need to be paying attention to, because he is the only one that's going to survive long term. And because I thought by this point Trump would have dropped out because he had lost the state. I really thought I thought Trump would drop out by this point, or would have dropped out before we actually got to the real, honest to goodness, voting. He didn't, and I think that's the only reason that Kasich isn't higher up, because he's the sane one. I keep saying this over and over again. If you had to put John Kasich, and I'm not saying that he's a great governor, because like I said, I really do have a problem with the way he has handled the state of Ohio because of the things that have happened. I mean, you're talking about the deaths of John Crawford, Tamir Rice. You're talking about the suicide of Marshawn McCarroll. You're talking about this recent situation where I forgot how much the judgment was for, but the family of the married couple who was shot up 128 times by the Cleveland Police Department during their chasing of a suspect. You have to lay that at the feet of the people in charge. It is ultimately his problem that these things are happening in his state. Because unlike Missouri, folks in the state of Missouri, the mayors of the cities do not have any control over the police departments. That's an entirely separate structure. The mayor is on a board for the police in Kansas City and St. Louis. They are not able to have any influence directly over those people. They are ex officio members of that board. But so I lay those things at his feet. But really, he is the sanest person in the situation that's left. I think Jeb Bush, yes, I would agree, is far more sane and pragmatic than you got out of the top three at this point, which is Trump, Cruz, and Rubio. But Kasich has been saying since the beginning, almost in the same way Lincoln Chafee was talking about, is really more unite people, be a lot more focused on rebuilding and fixing these fractured relationships based on partisanship. I think there's something to be said for that. Real quick before we bring you in, we are at 6% reporting out of Oklahoma. It is 46.7 to 46.1 Sanders and Clinton. Sanders leading now in Oklahoma, 46.7 to 46.1 in Oklahoma at 6% reporting. It is virtually a tie, but I want to remember, folks, this started at 0% reporting. They were saying 65 to 20 Clinton over Sanders in Oklahoma. It is at 8% reporting in Oklahoma. We are 47.5 to 44.9. This could be big news, a huge upset coming out of Oklahoma, potentially, for Senator Sanders. Massachusetts, Sanders is up 50-48 over Clinton. Vermont being called already 87-12, Sanders over Clinton. Virginia being called already 64-34, Clinton. Georgia, 16% already being called, 75-23, Clinton. Arkansas, 0% reporting, already being called very obviously, 82-13, Clinton. Texas, too close to call, 1% reporting, 66.1 to 32.5. I'm going to guess Dallas and Houston have not come in yet based on those numbers. And that they're not even reporting yet because they close. Actually, they should be closed now. They should already be closed in both of those states. But some of the other ones are not going to be closing for a while. Minnesota, that is another caucus state, has not come in yet. Colorado, too close to call. They are not calling it. But obviously, Bailey is in line right now to caucus for Bernie Sanders. Shout out. Yeah, we love some Bailey. So I can't wait to have her on the show properly and not in the middle of doing her civic duty and voting. People, vote. It matters. If you have a friend that's telling you voting doesn't matter, this is the election to remind them voting actually matters. Voting matters quite a bit right now. Alaska, too close to call. Minnesota, too close to call. Texas, Cruz up 38.6 to 28 over Trump, to over 20%, 20% to that 38 for over Rubio, 1% reporting. Again, based on these numbers, I have to think that the big cities in Texas have not begun to report yet. Arkansas, Rubio winning 36.6% over Trump, 27.1. Rubio might finally get his win tonight in Arkansas. Oklahoma reporting Trump 32, Cruz 31. I'm going to say that's too close to call, folks. 10% reporting. We might not have many down to the wires. Oklahoma could be down to the wire on both sides of the aisle, people. Alabama 39.1. Trump, Cruz 20.8. They are calling it for Trump at this moment. However, this is at less than 1% reporting. They are currently showing, I do believe it's winner take all state, correct me if I'm wrong, they are currently showing, I'm going to say just over 120,000 votes in Tennessee and under 5,000 votes done in Alabama right now. That's why we are so low on these numbers. Tennessee being called for Trump, 2% reporting, 44% to Cruz at 21%. That could be another Cruz stand. Obviously, Rubio's not far behind at 19.4. The second place coming out of Tennessee could be very interesting. That could make the difference. If you have a strong showing out of one or the other coming out of that state, that could be who drops out and who endorses who. Massachusetts, Trump being called at 3% reporting so far, 47.1 to 18.9 for John. I called him in August, Kasich. Being followed by Rubio at 18.4. That is going to be where the line is drawn. If Kasich can pull out a close second there, he has a shot in one other state right now, and that is Vermont, where you are too close to call at 18% reporting. We have John Kasich at 27.6. lording it over Rubio at 19.2, crushing the soul of Ted Cruz at 9.5. He is 5 points higher than Ben Carson right now. Ben, I need to sell this book some more, Carson. Donald Trump is winning that state at 18% reporting at 35%. That is seriously small numbers right now. Basically, right now, Trump is winning over Kasich by Ted Cruz's percentage. Correct me if I'm wrong in the math there. You can see it as well. This is very close going out of these states. Virginia, 79%, still being shown as too close to call. Trump, 36.1. Rubio, 31% flat. Cruz, 17%. Kasich, 8.7. Carson, 6.1. Georgia, being called at 16% reporting. 45.2% to Trump. 23% to Cruz. 19.9% to Rubio. Carson at 6.2 and Kasich at 4.2. This could turn out to be a very wild situation. Now, Kay, I know you remember when we were looking at these earlier. These numbers have switched a lot on the Republican side of these primaries. A lot of these were being called for Trump early on and have really loosened up here recently. Do you find that, especially Vermont, but also do you find the Oklahoma situation, particularly telling? That was one of those states that was called for him as well. That is seriously close right now. We're talking
a few hundred.
Yeah, 16% reporting, and they are might as well be in a dead tie right now. 31.7 to 31.5.
Yeah, maybe the Trump revolt is working.
Arkansas, Rubio taking the lead, still under 1% reporting, 35.3% to 28% for Trump, with Cruz right behind him at 23.9%. This
is like a horse race.
Now, do you think that part of that is Southerners picking a Southerner over, the New Yorker Trump? Or do you think that that's just he has made so many statements and has gotten so outlandish that he's finally getting a revolt against him?
I think it could be a little bit of both. But I think there is a tendency of voters to support people from their regions, but also the narrative from, of course, the establishment GOP, and I think a lot of regular voters too are realizing, or really tuning into how abrasive Trump's personality is, and really trying to question whether or not he could really win a general election.
Mm-hmm.
So he's entertaining from a certain standpoint, but now that we're really getting closer to choosing the nominee, people are trying to evaluate, okay, would this person make a good president? Do they have the temperament to be president? Could they win over other people who aren't naturally on our side? Could they win over independents? Could they win over a few Democrats? So I think, and with the super PACs and, of course, the oppositions to Trump, like the Cruzes and the Rubios and their ads going after him, I think they have kind of maybe been a bit effective so far.
Now, we have some update news here. Number one, let's look at the general election matchups real quick. We're using We're Clear Politics. We really kind of like to get away from using too much of 538.com, too much of any of the major networks. We're using Real Clear Politics for a lot of these this evening. Their general election matchups show Sanders versus Trump, 49.8 to Trump, 41.8. Kasich over Clinton right now. That is amazing. 47 to 40. Kasich over Clinton. Sanders over Cruz, 50 to 40. Sanders over Rubio, 47 to 44. Like I said, Kasich over Clinton, 47 to 40. Sanders over Kasich, 43-42. Clinton over Carson by a very small number, 46 to 45. Clinton over Trump, 46 to 43. That has gotten incredibly small. Cruz over Clinton, 46.5 to 45. Rubio over Clinton, 48 to 43. That is a very serious situation right now. Oh, we've got some more updates here. All right, we are seeing. I dare say they need to start worrying in the Clinton camp with what we're seeing here. I really wish we could get Bailey back in. Obviously, they're in the middle of caucusing. Massachusetts is turning. The higher that number goes, we have gone from something over 70% to 60. It is now 52-45 in Massachusetts,
Wow.
Clinton over Sanders. This is going to get very tight before the night's over, and I wish we were going to be going on for another hour to cover this, but this is amazing to see right now. We're talking about, obviously, Vermont is almost 90% Sanders over Clinton at 28% reporting. That's crazy. Virginia is 64-34 with 82% reporting, so that's basically done. Clinton is at 74-24 in Georgia right now. That's only 21% reporting. Atlanta is going to be one of the last cities to come through in Georgia. So that's going to really mess with the numbers a bit. So that's going to be interesting to watch. We're going to see how he does in that major city. Those numbers have not come in yet at all. That is one of the largest precincts that's going to be putting up votes. Those precincts coming out of that area. So that's going to be a massive number. We're only looking at just over 110,000 votes right now out of Georgia. We have a lot more votes to count in the Georgia situation. So look to see that change a lot, even though that's on Clinton. We're only at 21% reporting. Tennessee being called for Clinton. Sanders keeps charging up the numbers, though. He started at 12. He's now at 30. 3% reporting in Tennessee. 68-30. Clinton over Sanders. Alabama still under 1% reporting. Currently sitting at 77-16. Oklahoma is currently going in rout territory. We are talking Sanders over Clinton, 50-41 right now at 20% reporting. This could be the stand Bernie Sanders needs. We could see this happening tonight. Arkansas, she is losing ground, and we still haven't hit 1% yet. 68-28. That was 75. Correct me if I'm wrong. That was 75% earlier. This is dropping as the numbers go up. The votes are coming in, and they are making a big difference. If he comes out of Super Tuesday with 3 states, and it's quite possible he can get more than 3 states in the situation right now, that could make a huge difference between how strong Hillary Clinton really thinks she is. Again, I am an independent who has chosen to vote for Bernie Sanders. If Hillary Clinton is the Democratic nominee, you are not likely to see me voting for Hillary Clinton. That's why I'm entirely serious. That I have a serious problem with her policies, and I have a serious problem with the way she does politics. She did the same game plan against Bernie Sanders now that she's done against Barack Obama in 2008. If you go back and watch the videos, you can see her and Bill doing the same thing, basically saying every comment about her is sexist. Everything that the candidate everyone likes is saying, she starts to try and adopt. She finds ways to say, you're smearing me. She finds ways to turn them into the bad guy and get them negative to attack her and then play victim. That has happened over and over again. That's why I will not vote for Hillary Clinton. And guess what? This election, I'm not the only person saying that. So this could be a huge situation. 25% in Oklahoma right now. We are 50-41. This is going to be interesting, folks. Texas still just now at 1%, 66-32. There is basically 100,000 votes between Clinton and Sanders. We're only at 330,000 votes total right now. That means the big cities have not come in yet. Again, on the Republican side in Texas, same situation. You're seeing less than 1 million votes have come in Texas. They're at 1%. They are too close to call on both states. Now, we're not standing up for Alaska, so hey, sorry, folks. Sorry for our half a listener in Alaska. We're not staying up for yours to finish. And we're definitely not staying on air much longer. But this is huge news. Arkansas, too close to call. Trump over Rubio, 31-30. Rubio's making a charge right now. Cruz, 25% behind Rubio's 30%. Still less than 1% reporting. Texas at 1% reporting. Cruz 39%. Trump 28%. Rubio 19%. Kasich 4.8%. Oklahoma is too close to call on both sides. Sanders up again, 50.7 to 41.30 in Oklahoma, 28% reporting. On the Republican side, we've got Cruz up 33% to Trump's 30%. Rubio behind that at 23%. We are seeing a charge. This could be the Trump revolt right here. Tennessee, Trump 44.2, Cruz 21.9, calling it for Trump, only 5% reporting. On the Democratic side, Tennessee has 6% reporting. Massachusetts 10% reporting. Trump being called the winner, 46.8% at 10% reporting to Kasich's 19.2. We'll see how that continues to go. Vermont 34% reporting. John Kasich 29.2, Trump 34.6. That's gotten closer since we last talked about it less than 5 minutes ago. This is a charge that's happening in the North right now. Virginia, Trump being declared 84%. He is winning 35 to 31. They're calling it for Trump, even though that is at 84%. This could change. Very close. 30,000 votes basically between these two. Well, 40,000 votes between Trump and Rubio. We will see if Rubio comes out of this with no states. I think he's done. What do you think?
I think he's going to try to hold on, but it's going to be harder for him going forward.
I think if he has one state or it comes in a lot of really high seconds, he could stick around. But I don't think his donors will want to stick around if he doesn't get a state tonight.
That is very possible, but I think that in general, a lot of voters may feel that Rubio might be the guy that could beat Hillary going forward. At least a lot of people that I've spoken to have said this. So I know a lot of people went out to vote for Rubio, but you're right. If he doesn't win or have some strong second finishes, then he could be done.
National polls wise, Rubio is beating Clinton in 48.5 to 43.5. So he is winning over Clinton in general election matchups. Same with Cruz. Cruz is winning over Clinton 46 to 45. Trump is the only one officially losing to Hillary Clinton. And I as much as I hate to discount things that come out of BuzzFeed, I really do think that what they call that Trump embarrassment, where you don't want to tell another person that you're going to vote for Trump in a situation, I think that comes into play when you're talking about Trump versus Hillary Clinton. I really think that the people angry, especially considering you have to think about folks that there is a very large segment like me that are not going to vote for Hillary Clinton. So part of her percentage is being counted by, well, everybody that votes for Sanders is going to vote for her in the general. No, they're not.
But would they vote for Trump?
I'm not saying they vote for Trump. I'm saying they're not going to vote. Now, I'm going to vote. I have a compulsion to vote myself, personally. But I don't think all of them are going to do that. And you lose a big chunk of who would be propping up Hillary Clinton at that point. I think she loses to Trump, and I don't think it's that close.
Yeah,
because every ad she could run against Trump, he just goes, "But you came to my wedding." It's like, Hillary Clinton's bought. I know, I bought her.
This is true, but with Trump though, I'm not sure how many people will actually turn up to vote for him. I mean, do you think the Hispanic voters, one of the largest growing demographics in this country, are really going to vote for Trump if he's one of the two choices versus Hillary?
No, but I think people angry with Hillary will vote for Trump, that it won't matter.
I don't know.
I think that, like, I just can't see it. Well, folks, we are at the 8 o'clock hour. We're going to go ahead and end our coverage here. I just wanted to cover this briefly and really kind of give you guys a chance to get to know us and kind of see how the show works. As you guys can see, it's really a back and forth. We all kind of have, different points. We come from different places, politically speaking. And so we wanted this show to be able to be an introduction to just kind of our back and forth, as opposed to being in our format where you can't really get to know us first. So we hope you guys have enjoyed hanging out with us. We're going to give you some final vote tallies because I think they are very interesting. Massachusetts is now 51-47, Clinton over Sanders at 12% reporting. Sanders officially called in Vermont. Clinton officially called in Virginia. Clinton officially called in Georgia. Clinton officially called in Alabama and Tennessee. She's called in Arkansas, but it keeps dropping every few minutes. Arkansas was 80+% to 12. Arkansas is now 67-28. Clinton over Sanders. That has dropped in the time it took me to go from saying Arkansas the first time in this in this wrap up to now. Texas being called for Clinton,
Cruz.
but it's dropping as well. Yeah, Texas obviously being called for Cruz at 1% reporting. That's still without the major metropolitan areas. I think this is all the small areas. I'm not saying anything bad about these smaller towns in Texas. I'm saying this is not Dallas. This is not Houston. This may be San Antonio and Austin. This is possibly even El Paso. But that Dallas Fort Worth, that Houston area, I don't think those are being called right now. I think there's going to be a big jump in really defining things at that point. Oklahoma, not called yet for anyone. 35% reporting. Cruz is up 33.5 to Trump's 30. There could be a massive upset brewing, as it were. Let's see here. Tennessee, another situation. Tennessee, Trump is being called at 7%. Cruz is steadily jumping up. He's at 21.8 right now. I don't think that's as close as they're making it. We have nothing out of Minnesota on either side at this point. Nothing out of Colorado or Alaska. So that's going to be interesting as well on this. I am very interested in seeing how this shakes out. I will be up longer, not necessarily talking about this, but possibly live tweeting. I'm going to switch over to the Young Turks coverage because, frankly, they do it better than we do right now. But we're coming for them, too. You heard me, Chank. I'm coming for y'all, too. We're going to get better than you. No, I'm kidding. If TYT wants to buy the show, we are gladly to sell. But I want to go ahead and say thank you, of course, to my co-host, Bailey, who is currently in line, being awesome, and, of course, getting the Democratic nomination for Bernie Sanders out there in Colorado, we hope. I'm sure she's out there taking care of it. And, of course, we have all the way from New York, the wonderful Kay Walker. I want to thank you again for your third time. Get ready to become a show regular before you have to deal with my crazy, megalomaniacal, egotistical prickishness on a weekly basis. So
it's all right. It's all right.
So for everyone
some more.
Yeah, for everyone at 314 Publishing, for everyone at Imperial Dreams Productions, all of us on Words Don't Do It Justice, Weekends Don't Do It Justice, Save State Society, and of course our friends over at Geek Street Radio. I want to say thank you for listening. I want to say thank you for checking out our live stream. You can, of course, find us on SoundCloud. It's just SoundCloud.com. You can just type in Words Don't Do It Justice or 314 Publishing or The Wrath of Ruthless. You'll be able to find us by typing in any of those. They'll bring you right to our playlist so you can hear The Wrath of Ruthless. You'll be able to hear Give No Quarter here later on this month. Remember, our anniversary is coming up starting March 4th. Look out for some really cool content from all of us. Tomorrow is the recording day and release day, hopefully, for the new Wrath of Ruthless episode, where we say goodbye to a great member of the show, and I can't wait to give him the proper send-off. Obviously, we want to thank our sponsor, SJC Financial Solutions. Make sure that you talk to them to feel tax-free. And, of course, I am the Ruthless Wonder, not a Ruthless Wonder. And we are out of here, folks. This has been Give No Quarter.
Bye.
Give no quarter. Give no quarter.